First of all, welcome everybody, an amazing team. Thank you for jumping on board with this ride. This piece is ultimately about people that dare to dream, people that witness the injustice in the world and are actually motivated to do something about it. The idea for this production is to frame this musical in a detention center for people that are being deported. There's a speech in the play that Cervantes speaks about halfway through that really, to me, kind of zeroes in on what this is all about. And if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read it to you. When life itself seems lunatic, who knows where madness lies? Perhaps to be too practical is madness. To surrender dreams, this may be madness. To seek treasure where there is only trash. Too much sanity may be madness, and maddest of all, to see life as it is and not as it should be. So it's a story of redemption, right? He also then at that moment finds his nobility awakened in him. It's an amazing piece. And Jose. When an audience comes in to see a play, they see something that has literally been put together in process for generally about 6 months, if not more. Opening night is the end of April, and we started casting the second week of January. So it's a long process. This is like your bunk bed up at the top here. And I imagine you sitting on the edge of it with your vihuela at the very, very top of the show. Este fuego, este fuego. Man of La Mancha is a wonderful musical about the historical character of Miguel de Cervantes, who wrote the novel of Don Quixote. And the musical begins with Cervantes being imprisoned by the Spanish Inquisition, which he actually historically was.
In any case, I trust I shall not be among you long. The Inquisition would...
And with a yell at that point, then you guys pounce on them. I'd love it to just be like, whoa! The inmates of this prison put every new prisoner on trial with the hopes of getting all their possessions. And so they put Cervantes on trial, and he says, let me defend myself by telling you a story. And the story that he gets them all to act out is the story of Don Quixote.
What did he mean by that? Calm yourself. There's a remedy for everything but death.
Getting to take on the role of Don Quixote / Cervantes in this production has been truly inspiring. It feels like a gift to be able to tell these stories for those who cannot at the moment.
Quieter but not slower. I feel so grateful and proud that I get to be myself in this character, because for Henry's production, we're all immigrants. We're all representing our own nationality. So I get to be the Puerto Rican Aldonza, and that is unbelievable.
It's a very detailed and deliberate process. That's what's cool about live theater, is that you have to plan that much ahead of time and be that precise, because then when you perform the show, it's nonstop.
Hi, I'm Josie Everett. I'm the costume designer for Man of La Mancha, and I'm a third-year MFA costume designer, and I'm going to show you some pieces in the show. The idea is that Cervantes has this chest full of costumes that he brings with him, and as he starts to play within the play, he's pulling pieces out and putting them on stage, and so are the other people in the ICE detention center. And then as the performance goes on, people get more invested in the performance and start incorporating elements from the ICE detention center, like towels and blankets, and incorporating that into their own costumes. This is Sancho's doublet. It's still in progress, but we're making it out of this really cool thrifted quilt and adding these little panels, and there's gonna be a bunch of embroidered details and trims and those kinds of things. And we wanted it to feel really homemade. This is like a really simple costume piece, but it's one of my favorites, I think, because it does what it needs to do. It's colorful, it's simple, and I think this embroidery is absolutely stunning. And over here we have the horse and the mule heads that are gonna be put on during the play within the play. They're gonna be made out of these wire structures and then covered in black mesh. They're inspired by a sort of blend between like Day of the Dead skulls and also like the traditional armor that a horse would wear in battle. It's really important to me and the whole team that the pieces for the play within the play are so colorful and vibrant, and just to sort of contrast the grim situation of the ICE detention center and to sort of emphasize and highlight like the artistry and the talent of all of the people in the room.
Hi, my name is Ayin. I'm the set designer for Men of La Mancha. This is a 1/4-inch scale model. This is for us to communicate to the shop things that we want and what color we want, what kind of texture we want. I tried to imagine this world of Men of La Mancha into a repurposed Walmart that is turned into a ICE detention center. This is the truck in a first perspective, where it is supposed to be a really long truck. So we made it into a first perspective so the audience can have an illusion that this truck is longer than it actually is. This is a container cart, but we're gonna use them as a confession room at a church where we're gonna have two women drag Padre around the stage. It's a really comical scene. So this is what we call a pallet shelf, but we're gonna use this as a bunk bed. So the detainees at the ICE detention center are designated a corner of this shelf as their bed. One of the features that I really like is this windmill is actually the ceiling fan of the abandoned Walmart that Don Quixote is gonna imagine as a huge windmill that's gonna attack him.
Hi, my name is Sierra Walker. I'm the lighting designer for Men of La Mancha, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about the board and what Men of La Mancha is about. We start off in a bleak kind of detention center, not very much color, but as the story progresses, the world becomes more alive and magical. And we'll do that by adding color and texture and whimsy to the stage. And so for an example of that, we have the fluorescent lights that are set up right now, and then we can change the color, adding more vibrancy, and we use color to aid in the emotion of each scene. So we could do anything from red means scary, mad, to blue being sad, lonely, and everything in between. These are just some of the lights that are on right now. There's other systems that you use to combine to make full looks, and that's how we create systems of light.
Welcome. Welcome to your world. So we're just gonna slog our way through from the top and we'll adjust as we go. Cool? I think that what makes Northwestern Theater so special is that students come here because they know that they can be anything. They don't come here just to be an actor. They know that they can come here to become excellent, outstanding human beings. And in the end, that's the most important thing to me because that's what the world needs.
I am I, Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha. My destiny calls and I go.
Northwestern has prepared me a lot, I think, for the real world. The biggest thing they've given me is a holistic education. I think they've also just really prepared me to be self-sufficient. That's the biggest gift that Northwestern, I think, has given us.
The thing that's amazing about Northwestern is that this school teaches you and forces you to find your own work, to tell your own stories. That is the best thing about this school, is that it gives you the space to figure out how to do it on your own.
The thing about theater is that it is ephemeral. In the end, everything you see here behind me, which is just now being put up and constructed, in another 6 to 7 weeks, it'll be torn down and it'll be gone. But in some way, it lives in you forever. You know, it changes you. It changes everyone in the audience.
Why do you follow him?
Oh, that's easy to explain. Because
Why?
I like him. I really like him.
Because we are so large, we have MFA designers working with undergraduate actors. We have MFA directing students that assist in the production. You know, our students bring so much knowledge to the table, and that shows up in the work.
Don't ask me for why or wherefore.
One pair of arms is like another.
I think over these past 4 years, I have figured out what makes my voice my voice. I've spent hours in practice rooms doing my exercises and learning music and pushing myself to think that I could sing something, even if last year me thought that that wasn't possible. It is really humbling and gratifying and exciting. The best part about it is that, like, I haven't stopped working for it.
I was thinking about the lyrics of The Impossible Dream over and over again, and I realized, you know, people aren't going to remember my performance. They're not going to remember if I cracked on the high note or if I forgot a word. They're going to remember how they felt watching and then leaving the theater.
With his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars.
Theater gets right into the core of who we are as human beings, and it allows us to all sit in a theater together and take a journey. It's a really fundamental experience, and I think that now more than ever, we need theater because it has the power to make us think, but more importantly, it has the power to make us feel.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to run where the brave dare not go, though the goal be forever too far, to try though you're wayward and weary, to reach the unreachable star, to reach the unreachable star, though you know it's impossibly high.